They say factory life changes a man, not because of the noise or the hours or even the endless smell of machine oil that seeps into your clothes and never really washes out. No, it's the monotony, the grind that makes every day bleed into the next, until you start to forget what day it is. That's where I was. 3 years ago, just another face in a factory filled with strangers. The kind of place where you could work next to someone for 6 months and never even know their name. Every few weeks, people came and went. Temps hired through 5 different agencies. Nobody stuck around long enough to form friendships. It was survival mode. 12-hour shifts, 6 days a week. Machines pounding like thunder, the smell of steel and sweat in the air. The foreman barking from across the floor. You did your job, you kept your head down, and you prayed payday came before the bills hit your door. That was my rhythm, until the lunches started disappearing. At first, I thought I'd misplaced it. Maybe I'd left it in my truck. But then it happened again, and again. And by the end of that week, I knew someone was stealing my food. Now, that might not sound like much, but when you're on your feet for 12 hours straight, when the only thing keeping you going is that one 30-minute break, when you open that fridge and find your food gone for the 5th day in a row, it doesn't just make you mad. It makes you feel powerless. I'd stare into that half-empty fridge every lunch break, my stomach twisting in anger and disbelief. The others would glance at me, then quickly look away. Nobody cared. Nobody wanted to get involved. That's the thing about factories. People mind their own business. Even when someone's being wronged, they look the other way. So I started watching. Every break, every shift change, I'd take mental notes. Who came into the break room? Who lingered too long by the fridge? Who left in a hurry? I didn't know who the thief was, but I knew one thing: they were bold. Whoever they weren't afraid of being caught. They didn't care whose lunch it was. They didn't care how hard we worked or how hungry we got. They just took what they wanted and walked away. After the 5th stolen lunch, I started to lose patience. By the 6th, I wasn't just mad, I was burning. It's a strange thing, that kind of anger. It's not loud or violent. It's quiet. It's focused. It sits inside your chest like a live coal, whispering to you when you're trying to sleep. So I made a plan. That night, I went home and stood in front of my kitchen counter, staring at a pack of steak. Thick cut, marbled just right. I could have just made a sandwich, something simple. But no, this had to be special. This had to be memorable. If they were going to steal from me again, they were going to remember it. I fired up the skillet and let that meat sizzle until the aroma filled the whole house. I chopped onions, bell peppers, and made fajitas, the kind you'd pay good money for a restaurant. But the magic, or the curse, depending how you see it, was in the sauce. Carolina Reaper peppers, the hottest in the world. I bought a small bag a few months back as a joke. You know, for one of those dare your buddy moments. Never thought I'd actually use them. But that night, I minced them into a fine paste, mixed them into the pico de gallo, and stirred until it glowed red like lava. I took one whiff and nearly coughed my lungs out. My eyes watered, my throat burned, and I smiled. That's when I knew this was perfect. I layered the fajitas with care, spooned the infernal salsa on top, and sealed it in a clear container. I even garnished it with cilantro and lime, just to make it look extra tempting. When I was done, I looked at that meal sitting on my counter, beautiful, deadly, waiting. "Let's see you steal this one," I whispered. The next morning, I walked into the factory with that lunchbox like it was carrying a secret. The same smell of oil, same drone of machines. Nothing new. Nobody noticed the difference in my step. At 7 a.m., I slid the container into the fridge and went about my day. But I couldn't focus. My eyes kept flicking to the clock. 9:00, 10:00, 11:00, and then, at exactly 11:15, chaos. A scream echoed through the break room. Not just any scream. It was sharp, panicked, desperate. I dropped my wrench and ran. Half the floor did. And there she was, a woman, clutching her throat, gasping for air. Her face was red, tears streaming down her cheeks. She collapsed to the floor, wheezing, eyes wide in terror. Someone yelled for help. Another called 911. Someone else ran to get water. And me? I froze. It hit me like a punch to the gut. She was the one. The lunchbox bandit. I recognized my container on the table, half open, the fiery red salsa smeared across the lid. My heart pounded as the paramedics arrived, rushing her to the hospital. They said she had an asthma attack triggered by the peppers. Nobody questioned where the food came from. Nobody asked who it belonged to. And I didn't say a word. I just stood there, watching the chaos unfold, the factory buzzing with whispers and shock. Inside, I felt conflicted. There was satisfaction, yes, justice, maybe, but also guilt, heavy and cold, sitting on my shoulders. For a week, people talked about it. Some laughed nervously, some shook their heads, but nobody stole food again. Not once. After that, I brought my lunch every day. I'd open the fridge and see it sitting there untouched, safe. And every time, a part of me smiled. But another part, the quieter one, wondered if I'd gone too far. She came back a month later, didn't look at me, didn't talk to anyone much. I never told her, and she never told anyone what happened. It became our silent secret. To this day, no one at that factory knows the truth. They just know that one day, the lunchbox bandit disappeared, and the fridge stayed full. And me? I learned that revenge has a flavor. Hot, sharp, and unforgettable.